welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Whichever hemisphere you are joining us from, some of you wrapping up your day, some of you starting it. Yeah, it's always a thrill seeing folks join in from opposite ends of the world, from multiple different continents and countries, time zones, seasons. So yeah, whether you're approaching summer or winter, thank you for taking the time to come back for another lesson with our fantastic teacher, Bridget Rampton. This should be a good one. Already, I love the image. This is great. It's like, for me, it's near the end of the day. It's almost time to sit back, watch an episode, and here I get all the excitement, plus get to challenge the brain a bit more. All the regulars, of course, you guys know this. If you need any tech support, I am around behind the scenes. What I ask that you do, one of two things. You can reach me either by replying to any of the emails that LearnBridge Online sends you, or many of you, I think all of you, will see a support widget in the bottom left corner of the screen that reaches the support desk where I can help out privately and without distracting from the learning here. So tech troubles, don't leave that in the live chat. It will distract from the learning. Instead, you guys know the deal. Respond to Bridget's questions, ask her questions. We'll all make mistakes together. We'll all learn together. All right, let me start the recording. And Franny's here. Woohoo! Hey, Franny. So glad that you're here. Rosemary, Bev, Sue, Jeanette, of course, Bridget. I don't mean to hop over you. Marianne, Ro. All right, let me click that record button so that we can get started. All right. It's warming up. I see the gears starting to turn. Here it comes. The recording is active. Welcome back to the class. Everyone watching by replay, we're sad you couldn't be with us live, but maybe next week's lesson will be same time, same place. So if you're able to attend live, we'd love to have you. If not, we'll make sure this lesson and next week's and all of them will be there for you in the lesson library so that you can watch them at your convenience. We know how it is. Kids, working, gardening, visiting friends, family. Sometimes you can't be there live, but you're still very much part of the class. Leave your bridge questions about today's lesson on the class page so that we can all keep learning together there. Bridget has done such an amazing job responding to our questions there. So let's keep giving her the good ones. Hey, Wendy, so glad you can make it. All right, let's get to it, shall we? Let me find our teacher. Call her up to the stage. How about a big, warm, virtual welcome?
Hi, everybody. Nice to see you.
Hey, Bridget.
Hi. Nice to see you. Nice to see everybody else.
Yes.
It's gorgeous seeing where everybody comes from around the world. I love it.
Isn't it? It's so neat. It's so neat.
Cool.
All right, Bridget, let's get to it. I've already talked too much, so I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, sure.
And I'll leave it to you to wrap things up, but I'll be around. So if folks need any tech support, they can find me over in the support desk.
Okay, fabulous. We're going to do defense to one no Trump today. So important. So it's a goodie. Yeah, that's fun.
I don't know which is scarier for me, defending one no Trump or making one no Trump.
Oh, defending one no Trump's great fun. We've got this good picture. I'm going to bring it up right now. Does anyone know where it's from? Do you know where the picture's from, Bashir?
Yes, I do. And I'm excited for the new season coming up.
Okay.
Here, let me turn off my camera and minimize that, and I'll see everyone later. Thanks, Bridget.
See you later. Bye. It's going to pop me over here. Okay, so for everyone who doesn't know, that's from Bashir's favorite program, the Game of Thrones, and the new season coming up. But defense to one no Trump is so important. And I've had a few requests from people wanting a bit of an explanation about multi-landy and what that is. So I thought we could dig a little bit into multi-landy today. It's probably more than one lesson covering all of the multi-landy toolkit, and I'll explain exactly what that is in a minute. But I thought we could start and just put in the whole bridge philosophy, what you're trying to do when the opponents open one no Trump, and why people have these defensive bids when the opponents open one no Trump. So let's get started on that. The first thing to say is when the opponents open one no trump, all of you will be extremely aware of this. When the opponents open one no trump, it's really difficult sometimes to get involved in the contract. So people who open a weak no trump actually have a big advantage with weak no trump because it's so preemptive. When you open one no trump with 12 to 14, it's quite likely the opponents have actually got lots of points and they can't overcall, a diamond or a heart or a spade. They've got to come in at the 2 level. And I'm sure lots of you have had this situation. It happens all the time when opponents open a weak no trump and you're sitting there with kind of like a balanced 13, 14 count. You don't have enough to get involved and you're kind of taken out of the auction and you never find out whether your partner has got enough points. It's very, very difficult. So, I mean, how many people play a weak no trump here? I think we've got a lot of Kiwis in here today and English people. So probably a lot of you do play a weak no trump. Yeah, Wendy does. Yeah. And even though the strong no trump and 5-card majors is in reality taking over the bridge bidding world, there's still a lot of experts, even when they play 5-card majors and a strong no trump, who will sometimes open a weak no trump in particular seats because of its preemptive value. So because you get this weak no trump opening, it's really important to come up with a system and agreements with your partner about how to get your hand across. But the first thing we really need to talk about and make sure everybody is very, very clear about, and this is regardless of whether you play a strong no trump or a weak no trump, but if you see your opponents opening a weak no trump, the first thing that you have to be super clear about is that you need to double with a big hand. No matter what your hand shape, it's so important that your priority is to put down, where have I got it? Put down that double card if you've got a big hand. Don't feel tempted to overcall the one no trump if you can double first, because so often you can actually get a big reward when you double the one no trump. So we've got here these sorts of hands. So I say double with 15 plus. Some people say double with 16 plus. So in reality, you double with a good 15 plus. So bad 15, you might not. But a good 15 plus points, you should start with this double. So let me just bring up the whiteboard just so you can visually see what's happening and why it's important. Is that the whiteboard there? Yeah, I think so. So I'm going to try and draw a circle of points again. Let's give this one a go. So say you've got your circle of points. Oh, God, not so good this morning. No Leonardo da Vinci. Okay, you've got your circle of points. Oh, no, it's going to look like a person. So a good 15, Rosemary, is a 15 that's not completely balanced with bad small cards, which we call pips. So if I had a 15 count that was very balanced and my pips, my small cards, were kind of like 7, 6s, and 5s, not 10s, 9s, and 8s, that to me would be a bad 15. So, but say the opponents open a weak no trump. So they're opening with say this many points, sort of 12 to 14. And if you've got a bigger hand, like a 15 count here, or 15 plus, or even 16, but you've got a bigger hand, you've clearly got more points than the one no trump opener when they've opened this weak no trump. So the philosophy of penalizing a weak no trump, and people don't penalize strong no trumps in the same way, and this is the philosophy why. But you're kind of imagining statistically that the rest of the points are divided equally between the two hands. So if you're sitting there with 15, sorry about all my messy writing, if you're sitting there with 15 plus points and you know the opponents have got, 12, 13, 14, it's more likely that your side have got the points. So how many points do you need to have to open to make one no trumps normally? What do you think? Anybody? To make a one no trump normally, what's the ballpark figure for points? Anyone got an idea? I mean, we all know that making one no trump can be hard because you're expecting to lose 6 tricks. But you want half the pack, really. You want to have the majority of the points to make one no trump. So you're kind of hoping that you've got 21-ish points. If you're lucky enough to have 25 points, Ro, then you're going to be playing in 3 no trumps, hopefully. So that's the Christmas Day figure for playing in 3 no trumps. But for one no trump, you definitely want half the pack. And if you've got fewer points than half the pack, you're worried. It's going to be very, very difficult to make one no trump unless you're lucky enough to have a nice suit that you can establish or things really go your way. So when you're defending and you're in this position here and you've got this 15 plus, you're basically playing with the statistics and you're thinking, well, if it splits the way statistics indicate that it is most likely to, like the majority, the remainder of those points are split evenly, then me and my partner have got the majority of the points, not the opponents. And that's why you double. You're basically saying, I think that it's more likely that we've got the majority of the points than you. So you can see that if they open a strong no trump, that's very different. Like if they've opened here with 15 to 17 and you've got this amount of points as well, then if you split those remaining points evenly, it's kind of could be anyone's 20 points. You're not sure. But the odds are on your side if they've opened a weak no trump and you have got sort of 15 plus points. So that's why you start with this double, which is a penalty double. So it's so important to remember that it's a penalty double, this double of the one no trump. It's not takeout. You're not wanting your partner to bid. And if you are the partner and your partner has doubled a one no trump, don't bid unless you're like super, super weak. You're almost always saying, I trust you, partner. I think that you've got this big hand. Let's bring them down. It feels like the money is going to be in bringing them down in no trumps rather than us getting our own, maybe even a part score. You'll often do much, much better bringing the opponents down in one no trump. So the weak no trump has basically got great power in that it's preemptive, but you are also putting your neck on the line when you open a weak no trump. It's a dangerous thing to do. And if you encounter opponents who know how to penalize you, you are at risk of really going down a lot of points. So you're going to make a penalty double with this first hand, which is very balanced. That's one that hasn't got great pips row, but it's got enough points, that one. This next hand, the one in the middle, that's lovely. So you don't feel tempted to overcall two spades with that suit. You're going to often do much better bringing the opponents down in one no trump because you can cash out all those spades and you've got the ace of hearts. So it looks, yeah, and then you've got, hopefully your partner can lead up towards your king. So often it's going to do better bringing them down in one no trumps than bidding two spades. And even this last one, I'm starting by doubling. So any hand that's a good hand with sort of a good 15 plus points, I'm starting with this double to penalize the opponents. So that's fundamental, basically, because you know that if your partner bids and doesn't penalize, then they haven't got this hand. That's why I'm trying to really focus on that point. They often don't know what to do, the opponents, when you double them. So how many of you here are really tight with your strategy for when you've been doubled on a no trump and know exactly what to do? There's, people have different systems with their partners, but a lot of people are a bit wishy-washy about it. They don't quite know what to do. Who's got a really tight system? Anyone? Looks like Marianne and Sue might have something. Kevin does, yeah. Yep. Who plays the Helvet Wiggle? Chris does. So Helvet Wiggle is what I play, but other people play something. Sue doesn't know what to do. Most people won't really know what to do, especially if they haven't got a regular partnership. They haven't really sat down and talked it through. So it can leave you very, very vulnerable if the opponents double you. But Helvet Wiggles is a fun one. You pop it into YouTube. You can find a quick little video on the Helvet Wiggle, and we might talk about that sometime as well. Your row's got no plan. So most people don't. They get a bit stuck. But the Helvet Wiggle was probably the most common one at the moment. But bringing them down can be very, very profitable. Let me just take you over to the bridge base hand. Can everybody see the bridge base hand here? Hopefully you can all see this. This is a classic one no trump, a weak one no trump opening by West. Yeah, Wendy plays a Helvet, but a simple one, sure. Yep. Cool. Okay, so what are you going to do with the north hand? You're not going to feel tempted to overcall here. You're going to give them the bash, basically. You're going to double. I was playing on Bridge Online yesterday, and I gave someone the double here, and I wrote blood. Just to put a bit of extra pressure on them. But you're after blood here. You're trying to really get them down. You're not taking them out of a suit. There's no suit to take them out of. They've basically bid all suits when they open a no trump. There's one way to think about it. So you're going to double for penalties. So, I mean, a lot of people really, really don't know what to do here with this East hand. And this is a horrible, horrible hand. There's 1 point here. There's nowhere to run to. The Helvet Wiggle normally plays that if you redouble, that's saying, help, rescue me, partner. I've got a 5-card suit. Can you just bid 2 clubs and then I'll do something? Or you bid the bottom of your 2 4-card suits. But you can see here, they don't even have 2 4-card suits. No 5-card suit, no 2 4-card suits. I mean, a lot of people, if they play the Helvet Wiggle here, will bid 2 clubs to try and escape. Some people will pass. If they do bid 2 clubs, West is going to think, crikey, that's not my 4-card suit, and then bid up. They just keep bidding up. That's why it's called the wiggle. You sort of bid up the line. And I imagine that they'll probably end up playing in 2 diamonds doubled. But if they play in 1 no trump doubled, they, I think, are going down like 5 or 6 here. So who's familiar with how much going down 5 vulnerable is doubled? Hopefully you haven't experienced it. How many points do you go down 5 doubled vulnerable? Yeah, it's a disaster. Yeah. There's one poor chap I played with years ago, about 10 years ago, and I did that to him and he still talks about it. Yeah, it's 1,400. It's a slam. It's just fantastic if you get them down 5. And if you get them down 6, it's like 1,700 points. It's total, it's just bonus time. It's a happy, happy day. So that is the risk of opening a weak no trump, is that you can be heavily penalized. And this is going to be disastrous for them, isn't it? No matter what they play and no matter where they escape, North and South are just going to give them the penalty double. And it's just going to be absolutely ghastly. Let's try this next one. Just a few examples. Oh, don't want to say blood as my password. So this time we've got, 1 no trump here. And again, the double. So you've got a really nice 15 here. This counts as a good 15. This is not a bad 15 at all. That lovely, lovely heart suit's fantastic. So here you're giving them the double as well, and it's just going to be really nasty. Next one, just to give you an example of the other ones. I think that's the same one, isn't it? Got one more. No, that's a bit different. Okay, so we'll leave that one for a minute. The one I meant to put up was another example of when you double, actually. And can anyone think when you might double a weak no trump even though you don't have 15 or 16 points? There's a case that is another really great time to double a weak no trump. Yeah, Chris is a long running. So something like, let me just type it into the chat. So, or in the whiteboard, actually, is the other way I could do it. Let's just erase that one. So say they open a weak no trump and you have got in a side suit, so maybe your diamond suit is something like the ace, king, queen, jack. Then you've only got 10 points there, but they're not going to make 1 no trump because you're going to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 off the top. So that's another great time when you double it rather than overcall your suit. So always look for that as well. People can get it, they can kind of fall in love with their suit sometimes and they forget about the option of doubling to penalize. But most hands that double are doubling because they are simply trying to penalize the opponents. So it's key to remember that if your partner doesn't double and they make a bid, that's why I'm going on and on about this. If your partner doesn't double and they make a bid, it's because they haven't got a hand that can double. So that's key, especially against a weak no trump. People play slightly different things against a strong no trump. Like I said, not everyone will double for penalties against a strong no trump. But so when you have values, but not enough to penalize, this is when this toolkit of multi-landy comes in. So it comes in that range between about 10 points through to 14 points, or maybe the bad 15. So that's when you are using this landy and multi-landy toolbox. A strong no trump can be slightly different because some people over a strong no trump, because of when we talked about before, the way the points are going to be statistically placed around the table, some people play that a double of a strong no trump is not actually penalty. So it depends on what your partnership plays there. But if you play that a double of a no trump is penalties, then it is, if you make a bid, you don't by inference have a hand that can penalize. So you're somewhere in that range of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, or a bad 15 count. So Wendy says, does it depend on which seat? And yeah, it does depend on which seat. So Why is doubling directly over the one no trump person, why does it give you an advantage? So it does give you an advantage. So if it goes one no trump and you're the next person to bid and you make the double, you've got an advantage. Why? Doesn't use space. Yeah, it doesn't use space, but there's something key. So if they end up playing on one no trump doubled, yeah, so it's right. So you're on lead. So because you're on lead, you've got an advantage. So with that hand I just mentioned before, where we had that lovely long running diamond suit with only 10 points, you wouldn't want to double that in the pass out seat for penalties. It's still penalties in that pass out seat, which by the pass out seat, I mean the last seat before the hand's passed out. You wouldn't want to do double there because your partner might not lead your suit. They might lead another suit. And then the opponents can actually make their one no trump often. They've got the points in the other suits. But if you're on lead, you've got the advantage because you can get going by attacking and you can attack where you want to attack. So a lot of people will be more towards the 16 in the fourth seat and more like the 15 plus in the second seat. So it does make a difference. It depends if you're on lead and it depends on your hand. But this is basically the multi-landy toolkit here. And it started off just being called Landy. And it was all about the 2 club bid over one no trump. And then later other bids have come in and the whole toolbox now has become known as the multi-landy toolbox. So what's good about playing multi-landy is it's heavily focused on the majors. So if you just play that over one no trump, 2 clubs is clubs and 2 diamonds is diamonds, hearts is hearts and spades is spades, you don't get as many hands across. So multi-landy is all about not letting that pesky one no trump opener take away your bidding space and prevent you finding your major fit. That's what the focus is on. And so much of bridge, that's the focus, is trying to find your major fits. Majors are just so important in bridge. So you don't want the opponents to take away your ability of finding the major fits. So you make these landy bids with 10 plus points through to about 40 points. And the one we're going to focus on is this 2 club bid. So how many people have actually played landy before? Oh, Kevin's got a question as well. So Chris has played it. Yep. So most people seem to play it when they sort of hit sort of intermediate bridge competitions. They start playing landy because it's just a more effective way to try and find your sort of major fit with your partner. And it's a good thing. Obviously, like all these things, you and your partner both have to agree to play it. I think Capoletti is 1 long suit, Linda, and that seems to be more common in America. That's I think what they play on what's Brozel? I don't know what Brozel is, Marianne. But over in England, for sure, multi-landy is the one that most people seem to be playing. Used to play multi-landy, but the continuations seemed so complex, Wendy said. Okay, that's kind of interesting. So the continuations can be complex, but what I want to do today is just really pull it down to the basics, because 90% of the time, the continuations really aren't complex. There's basically one of 2 things you're doing normally with the hands. So even though there are follow-on bids, and you get this in bridge all the time, you get your standard bids are not very difficult, like for instance, a transfer, but then sometimes the continuations can be really, really complex. And if you wanted to sit down and learn them, it could take you hours and you'd be really terrified that you're going to forget them. But the key is they come up like, I don't know, 1 hand in 200, these sorts of continuations. So if you can become really familiar with the continuations, that's great. But don't worry too much. As long as you've got the stuff that comes up 90% of the time, that's fine. And then it is worth learning it. And the 90% of the time bids are very easy to understand. And it's true that some of the follow-on continuations are complex, and it's true they come up 1 time in 200, like lots of things in bridge. You put all this emotional energy into learning something and then you forget it when it comes up at the table. But as long as you understand the basic stuff that comes up 90% of the time, I think it adds value. I think it is a good thing to learn. Let's pop to this next slide. So this is the 2 club landy bid, and this is where it all started. I think it was Alvin Landy who invented it. And he basically came up with the idea that when the opponents open one no trump, why not use 2 clubs to tell your partner that you've got 5-4 in the majors? It's just so much more useful than wanting to tell your partner about a club suit. So you're basically saying when you bid 2 clubs that you've got 5-4 in the majors, and you've got somewhere between 10 through to a bad 15 or a 14 count with 5-4 in the majors. And when I'm talking about the 90% of times the bid that's important, is that, and it's a kind of a bit like Stamen, it's a bit like Stamen for defense, but 90% of the time, you've got 1 or 2 bids that you're going to make when your partner bids this 2 club bid. You're either going to say, I prefer 1 major. So chances are you've probably got 3 in one of the majors. And so if you bid a major, you're saying, I prefer that major. And when you say prefer, it means I've got longer length in it. You're not preferring it because of where your high card points are. You're just preferring it because you've got longer length. So if they bid 2 clubs and you've got 2 hearts and 3 spades, you just bid 2 spades. And you know that your partner has got at least 4. So you're often expecting to play in a 4-3 fit. And that's fine. Like playing in a 4-3 fit is fine at the 2 level. So that's often what you're trying to do, is just buy a part score in the major. And sometimes the other one that you will do is bid 2 diamonds to say, I've got no preference. So that means that you might have 2-2 in both majors or 3-3 in both majors. So the 2 coming in with the 2 major or the 2 diamond is saying, I've got no interest in game, because you know your partner's got a maximum of 14 or a bad 15 points, and you're just trying to find yourself in a part score. So that's the bid that comes up all the time. And I don't think that's enormously difficult to remember. So 2 diamonds, equal length, but like the Stamen, I don't have one. And then 2 of the major is the, I've got more of this one than the other one. Let's, here's the system for your records if you want a much more long and complex system. I've only put that there. So if you want to grab that and print it out, you can do that for some of the continuations. I don't play what everybody else plays either. Other people have different systems. So you can always look up a system that you like online that you think works for you. But just so you have a system if you wanted it for some of the continuations, that's the longer system there. But let's take us over to the bridge base hands again. Just put it into practice here. Here it is. So, okay, so you got the 1 no trump opener. So pass by north. What are we going to do with the east hand? No hope of game. They're thinking their partner's opened a weak no trump. This is a weak no trump here. Yeah, they're just passing. And with the south hand, what are they going to do? Got a fantastic opportunity to bid here. They haven't got enough to make a penalty double, and this pass out set you more pushing towards the 16 rather than the 15 because you're not on lead. Yeah, so 2 clubs. Don't forget you've got to alert it, right? So you must put in majors, or if you're playing at the club, your partner has to alert your bid. So it's a fake bid. So 2 clubs saying that you've got the majors. So like I said, 90% of the time, you're going to be making one of 2 bids. So is North interested in game, knowing that the partner hasn't made a penalty double? And this is what's so key about understanding when you make this penalty double. Yeah, no, there's no interest in game. So normally there is no interest in game. So here they think, okay, I've got both of those majors. I don't know which one's my partner's 5. I don't know which one's my partner's 4. I don't have one longer than the other. If I had one longer than that, than the other one, I would show preference. So what's the bid? 2 diamonds. Yeah. So 2 diamonds says, just give me a long major, partner. I've got equal length. And then south does what? Yeah, 2 spades. And then you've got yourself in a nice part score. Why does that keep popping up? That's really annoying. Okay, and how do you feel about this? Like, how do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to make it? Yeah, I think they probably will too. I mean, what would you lead if you were the West Hand against two spades? I'm not leading the spade suit. I'm probably not leading the heart suit either because they've shown that they've got 4 in their hand, in the south hand. So club looks a little dangerous, leading away from the king jack. So for me, I think I would lead the diamond here, and you're going to win it. So it's kind of important when you are playing these hands, or extremely important, to just add up the points here and work out how many points you think East has got, and how you know that West has got 12 to 14. It's one of the advantages of when they open a no trump, because their points are so defined. So you do know that East has got points here. It's not like East is a bust. East has definitely got some values here. So I would probably start by playing up towards the king, which makes the trick, thankfully, and then I would lose heart. And they're going to win it. And then they are going to play back a trump probably at this stage. So when they play back the trump, they're going to take one of our roughs off the table, but then we can get one rough in. And you can see the spades are thankfully splitting 3-3. So we end up making, I think we end up making 5 spades, and we get that king of hearts, and we get a rough, and we get our 2 aces. So it would be a nice part score contract to end in. So Sue's coming in with a question. I'll just bring the next one up while Sue's typing, unless it's about this hand. Sue? Pressure on Sue, typing away. Yeah, we'll redeal it and we'll do this next one. Okay, so let's bid this one out together. Okay, West is opening. Let's say they're playing the 12 to 14. I think I've got a couple of strong no trump ones coming up as well. So they're opening 1 no trump. Okay, so what does North bid? Yep, your classic 2 clubs, saying you've got the majors, and you're defending a 1 no trump as well. You know that you're anywhere between 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe a 15 count. So your hand fits perfectly into that range. Don't feel tempted to make these landy bids, by the way, with fewer than 10 points. Some people do, but I really, really like to trust my partner to have a 10 count, especially in that second seat. I really like to know that she has got a 10 count. So then I know what I'm working with. If my partner starts doing it with a 6 count, like some people do sometimes, you can get into a real pickle, because then you can just go too high. You think, oh, my partner's got 10. And if you're sitting there with, a 15 count in the south seat, you're going to be in game. So for me, I really like to know what my partner's got in that second seat in particular. I tend to, like in the pass out seat, I will take more liberties just because I don't want to sort of sell out to 1 no trump. I want to get involved rather than let them play in a no trump. But in the second seat, it's really good idea, I think, to have your bid, and do have the 10 plus points when you make this multi-landy bid here. So they're bidding 2 clubs, which you must alert as majors. And then East is passing again. Okay, so this time, what's South going to do? So don't forget, 2 diamonds is saying I have got equal length. It's nothing about where the points are. 2 diamonds is simply saying I've got equal length. Tell me which one is your 5 card major. So you're basically 90% of the time, your options are either bidding 2 diamonds, I've got equal length, or bidding the major that you've got longer length in. Yeah, so this one is 2 hearts. You've got no aspirations for game because you've only got a 7 count. You know your partner would never make this landy bid if she had a sort of 18, 19 count, because she would have started with a penalty double. So you bid 2 hearts. And then your partner just passes, and you end up playing in 2 hearts. Okay, what about this one? What would your lead be, and how do you think this is going to go? against 2 hearts. So South still bids 2 hearts with 1 spade and 2 hearts. Yeah, you do, Chris. So even with 1 spade and 2 hearts, you're still showing the preference because you know the last thing you want to be doing is playing in a 4-1 fit, for instance. So you've got to, if you've got 2 hearts, at least you know that you've got the 4-2 fit. So the ace of diamonds, I think, is a good idea. Also, Chris, the other thing I was going to say, actually, yeah, 0-1. So if you've got 0-1, what have you also got, Chris? I mean, what's your hand shape? If you've got 0-1 in the majors, it means you've got something extraordinary in the minors, haven't you? So it does depend on your system. So a lot of people play, I've just changed my system because my system's so major focused. But a lot of people play that if they bid 2 clubs and you had no aspirations of game and you had all those minors, what choice have you got rather than showing preference for the major? You've clearly got length in the minors, right? So what could you do if your partner bids 2 clubs and you've got no aspirations for game and they've shown the majors and you've got length in the minors? Yeah, pass. You could just pass. Give your partner a heart attack because I'm not saying anything about clubs, for goodness sake. I think you've forgotten your system, but that's one thing you could do. You could hack it. So if you had a whole bunch of long clubs, you could hack it. Linda suggested 2 no trumps. The problem with 2 no trumps is when you bid 2 no trumps, most people play that as a fake bid for starters. That's one of those continuations that comes up, one hand in a year. But also, if you played it as natural, which I wouldn't advise, but if you do play it as natural, you need about 23 points to make 2 no trumps. So you can't make that bid unless you think that you've got 23 points between the 2 hands, even if you did play it as a natural bid. So if your partner bid 2 clubs and I was sitting there with nothing in both those suits, you're probably going to have clubs. It feels like you're going to have clubs. So I'm just going to pass the clubs. Some people play that 3 diamonds is the way of showing a long diamond suit as well. Some people get around it that way. For me and my partner, I do the 3 club bids and 3 diamond bids to show something else. But in this situation, back to lead. What are you going to lead here against 2 hearts? I think the ace of diamonds, somebody said before. Cool. And how, in terms of sort of planning the play, how would you be thinking this is going to work? You know that East again has probably got some points. Probably sort of somewhere between 6 and 8, I think. There's no roughing to be had in the shorthand. It's always sorry, what am I talking about? Of course there's potential roughing in the shorthand, but you've also got the spade suit to set up as well. So the spade suit looks like it could be a great source of tricks for you. And you can see that you can see the majors are both finessable. So you're definitely going to lose 2 diamonds and you're going to lose the club. And the heart suit is going to split beautifully. And you can actually take 2 finesses on the spades and draw the trumps. Should we play it out? Let's give it a go. So this person, what should East play here in defense? When you've got the Queen Jack 10. Yeah, often it's right to play the queen here if you think you can afford it. So it looks like a really weird card to play, but it's basically telling your partner you have got touching honors. And it's useful for your partner because then they know that you've got the jack. And then they're going to play another diamond. And they might even play another diamond because what they're doing there is forcing. If they play another diamond, they're simply forcing them to roughen the north hand, or they might switch. But they'll be looking at their holding, thinking they've got 3. So it could well be right to play another diamond, and then it puts a lot of pressure on them because they have to rough in this in their long hand, which makes some puts pressure on that holding of the trump holding. Okay, so once you've done this, then you've got to try and get across to the hand to do your jobs. You've got the jobs of finessing the spades, and you've also got the jobs of finessing the hearts. So I think I would, yeah, she's got, maybe I would swing across with a club, and they're probably going to play low. And then finesse this one, which works. Do we have enough entries? Come across with that one. It was nasty. Or I know what we could do now. What do you think, Chris? You're good at this. I think maybe you are we going to get in a pickle if we do that? So we're up to 4. We know got 5, 6, 7, 8. What you could do, I guess, is go up to the queen. This does work. So great when you can see all the hands. Smash down the king. And then you've got you've got 2 extra tricks here as well. Let's try and bid another one out. Okay, so now we've got 1 no trump here. I love we got to see all the hands. Yeah. The other trick we can also do, of course, is put on the double dummy. So got 1 no trump here. Okay. Everyone's feeling like they know what's going to happen here. Got a 13 count. Yeah, 2 clubs saying I have got the majors partner. I've got 5, 4 in the majors. So some of you might be saying, do you ever do it with a 4-4 in the majors? What do you think? Should you ever make this landy bid with 4-4 in the majors? Have you seen people make the landy bid with 4-4 in the majors? It's risky. My rule with my partner is I never do it vulnerable. So vulnerable, I'm never promising 4-4 in the majors, because you just end up in a horrible split and you're vulnerable and you're going down. Say the opponents are vulnerable though, and I'm not vulnerable. Sometimes I will do it because it's a risk, but it's a little bit disruptive. That's the only time I would do it, and especially in that pass out seat. But it really, really should be 5-4 in the majors. So they've come in and bid 2 clubs to say I have got the majors. So East is passing again. Okay, what's your bid this time? Have you got any aspirations for game? So this is why it's so useful thinking my partner didn't penalize. So we're coming into the 90% of the time this happens. You've got no hopes for game, and you've got equal length. So don't care at all the fact that you've got an honor in one of the 3 length suits. You don't prefer it simply because you've got an honor. It's all about the length. It's all about the length here. So yep, 2 diamonds, saying I've got equal length. And then your partner bids 2 spades, and you've managed to find yourself in a delicious 5-3 fit. And again, they're going to lead. Hang on a minute. So we are now on lead from the east side. Yeah, I think I would lead a diamond from this holding. The only, yeah, no, I probably would. I would lead a diamond. So top of the sequence, headed by an honor. And that's going to be a nice lead because you managed to take the first 2. How many tricks do you think this one's going to make? Again, we've got very nice splits, thankfully. The spades are splitting 3-2. The hearts are splitting 3-3. You're going to have an entry, and you're going to get 1 club. So it looks like you're going to be able to make 2 spades comfortably on this holding. You're going to lose a club, and you're going to lose 2 diamonds. Okay, let's try and bid another one. Does everyone feel this is quite logical and a simple concept now, the 2 club landy bid? Yeah, good. Yeah, it's really not complex. I think what people find a little bit intimidating is what we talked about at the beginning, is all the follow-on bids. But if you're really understanding just the basic principle, what happens most of the time, it's really not too tricky. So this one is a weak no trump again. This looks very familiar to the last one. I think it's the same hand, isn't it, as the last one? This looks like one no trump, two clubs, pass, two diamonds, equal length. That feels so familiar to the last one. Oh no, the difference is here they've gone to hearts. They've got longer hearts than spades, so they bid their longer suit. And again, this looks like it's going to be a comfortable bid making. So Rosemary, yeah, give it a go and try and talk to your bridge partner about it and try it. Maybe get them to watch this video. I'm sure there's a way you can get them to watch the video as well and try and sort of understand it, because it is so useful. It's so much better using this 2 club bid to tell your partner that you've got the majors rather than a natural suit. And you really don't want those pesty one no trump people taking away all the bidding from you. Would you be able to include how to use and understand the double dummy in BBO with a slow example? Yeah, of course, Wendy. Why don't we pop it on, shall we? So see the hamburger shape up here? There's the 3 white lines. If you've got a teaching table, I can put it on double dummy at any time. So I can see here what it's going to make. And when they've got a little green box here like this, a green means the contract is making, and when there's a 1 in it, it means it's making with an over trick. And the so you can see if they lead a spade, you're actually making 2 over tricks. If you are playing your own hands, because you're not going to be able to see it on tables that you're playing, obviously. If you are playing your own hands, say you go into history of recent hands. I haven't got one there, unfortunately, but once this comes up, you'll see that there's a history of your recent hands. And you can always, there'll be a little graph down here. We can do this one and then I can show you. And then if you want to review the hand at the end, you can go through and have a look there and check how it could have played. It's a really useful thing to do, actually, because you and your partner can see just where you went wrong. So if we play this one out, then I can show you how to do that. Yeah, the double dummy keeps playing. It's dynamic. So you can see exactly where you went wrong. So last night, for instance, we were getting a contract down and then I played the wrong card. And when I reviewed it, I can see exactly where I let their contract make. And then I can see exactly where I went wrong, which is a very useful learning tool. Unfortunately, my partner could see exactly where I went wrong as well. But it is an extremely useful tool, the double dummy. And if you're playing online tournaments, which some of you may be, or online challenges, you can also go through afterwards and review the double dummy. So for this hand here, let's go through with the double dummy. So they're going to lead this. And they're going to play low like, if they like, play low like. And then they're going to keep carrying on with the sequence and play this one. And then maybe they make the, they can see the south is the dummy. They know they've got diamonds, so they're probably going to play that. And then you are going to rough in. So this contract is looking lovely at the moment. So play up. I wonder if we can do something wrong so you can suddenly see. It looks like it's just almost impossible to do anything wrong on this contract. Oh, there you go. So if we played the six of hearts, then you're going to lose a trick. So you just watch for it when the numbers change. Here we go. They're going to play low club, saying they like the club suit. So now you probably going to do this. And they have to play something back. We probably wouldn't have played it quite like this, actually, but now we're completely dependent on the finesse. Sorry, I was concentrating so much on the double dummy, but it's going to be fine, as you can see. Then you're coming up to here and crossing over. Yeah, we would have played it much better in real life, obviously. But say we claim this here, and now if this is you playing my table. So if you want to look at the double dummy after you've played a hand, you would go here and click on my table to get the hand that you've just done. And then you would go to the little hamburger down below again and go show double dummy. And then you can see, I mean, it's very squishy and tiny, but you can see how many tricks you should make. And then you can go next card. So you can see, play through step by step and see what should have happened with your hand. So it's a very, very useful tool. If you're kibbing on BBO, which I think you have probably done before as well, if you've ever watched other people playing on BBO, you can also put the double dummy on if you're watching the pros. So that can be a really fun thing to do too, and to see what's happening. And Pinola, I'm not as familiar with Pinola. I'm sure it does. I'm sure there's something in Pinola. I know on Real Bridge, they also have a double dummy as well. I don't know if people use Real Bridge, but that's great for that sort of thing. And you can go through afterwards and do the double dummy and see what happened. Okay, let's try and bid another one of these. I think I've probably got a strong no trump one coming up with a bit of luck. No, that's a weak no trump again. Quickly bid this one out. 2 clubs, pass. Bid from the south hand is what? You're not going to pass the 2 clubs here and do the Chris magic trick, because you've only got 4 of them, and you know your partner should have 5-4 in them. So you know that you're hopefully going to be playing in a 5-2 fit, which is really not bad. You're often expecting to play in the sort of 7 card fit when you're just trying to stop them playing 1 no trump. So you bid the 2 diamond here. And then your partner is just going to take you to that safe 5-2 fit. Actually, it would have been quite fun to get one of the Chris examples where you had a massive long club, so you just pass it out. Let's try another one. Okay, so now we've got the strong no trump. So it's a partnership agreement whether you should play that double of a strong no trump as penalties or not. So I actually don't. I play that double of a strong no trump says that I have got a 4-card major and a 5-card minor. But it's up to you whether you do play double of a strong no trump as penalties. But as we said at the very beginning, it doesn't have that much of an advantage because you'd have to have quite a big hand to want to penalize a strong no trump, and it just hardly ever comes up. So most people don't play that double of a strong no trump as penalties. So that means that when they open a 1 no trump as a strong no trump, your landy bid now has a much wider range because you no longer have that bid as a penalty double with those big hands. So I'm now doing this multi-landy bid opposite a strong no trump with much wider range of hands. So I here would bid 2 clubs, even though I do just have a normal kind of landy bid. Okay, any thoughts about what you should do with the south hand here? So this is the next step of the more complex system, which I think was Wendy saying that she thought it was all the extra bids were full on. So this is a bit especially useful over the strong no trump ones. Over the weak no trumps where your partner hasn't penalised, you tend to know that you just haven't got game on. But there is a bid here you can make to show that you've got 4-card support and sort of around an 8 count. Let me bring up the system page where I popped it in the system. This is just the more advanced bidding if you wanted to have it. So I've got here, you bid 3 of a major if you've got 4 of that major and kind of a 7, 8, 9 point count. So that is called a mixed raise. So this is some of the more advanced system if you want to adopt that. For me and my partner, a jump to 3 hearts is basically saying I've got 4 of them, especially opposite a strong no trump. I've got 4 of them and around sort of 7, 8, 9 points. That's a mixed raise bid. You don't have to adopt that bid if you don't want to. You can always just bid 2 hearts here to say I've got preference for hearts. You've got an 8 count. Your chances of being game is unlikely. But opposite a strong no trump, I would probably adopt the system with my partner and bid 3 hearts. So I've got 4-card support and around sort of 8 count. And then if your partner did that, what would you do? I think I would just pass out the 3 hearts. It's just not quite good enough. 10, they've got equivalent 11, 12, 13 count. They're still not good enough. But they would say, thanks for the information, partner. Nice to know that you've got 4 hearts. That's lovely. And you've managed to hit my 5-card suit, but I'm just a little bit too scared to be playing in 4 hearts. I think it probably makes though, right? Hold on. Oh no, yeah. It doesn't unless they get a spade lead. Okay. Let's try another one. So what I thought we could do next week is, before we develop anything else, is carry on with the rest of the multi-landy bits. Is it useful for people to know the other ones, like the other multi-landy bits? Let me bring it back and show you. The ones that came later are the 2 diamond bids saying that you've got a 6-card major, and the 2 heart bids, which says you've got hearts and a minor, and the 2 spade bids saying you've got spades and a minor. Yeah, I think it's good to know the whole multi-landy toolbox. And Ro prefers to cement bits first. What we could do, escaping one no trump. What about we do both, actually? So I could quickly just run through next week, and we can talk about what those other bids are, so you understand, especially what other people are doing. And then we could also talk about the Helvet Wiggle and escaping from one no trump doubled, because that's super important, and like probably more equally, it's important as well. So I think that might be quite a good concept to do. This next hand we've got, that's a strong no trump here. So 2 clubs. Okay, what would you do with the south hand? Regardless of whether they're playing weak or strong. Oh, I'm sorry. Getting overexcited and not showing you the hand. Right, there we go. Can everyone see that? So they've opened a strong no trump, and your partner's bid 2 clubs, 5-4 in the majors. You know that they've got at least a 10 count. You trust your partner not to have over-called with rubbish, not to have made the multi-landy bid with rubbish. Any thoughts about what you might do with the south hand? Spades, Sandy says, yep, definitely spades. What level? Where would you go to? What's your hand worth? 3 spades, said Linda. So I would give that singleton 3 points. And you know your partner must have at least 10 points to overcall. Jeanette said 4 spades. So I love 4 spades here. For me, I'm just bidding 4 spades with this hand. I think it's you know that you can trust your partner not to make this sort of landy bid with a 7 count or anything ghastly. So you bid 4 spades. And yeah, it looks pretty nice, doesn't it? There's a double dummy on that one. What would you lead against it? Feels probably like an ace of diamonds lead. Yeah. And then you're going to lose a heart. Yeah, heart and a diamond. So it's going to be a nice contract for you. So yeah, if you know that you've got enough for game, then just bid the game. So I love the idea of the defense to one no trump, the Helvet Wiggle next week. What I would like you to do, if you can, just because I really think it works, like I really, really notice that if people come preloaded with a wee bit of information, it's much, much better for them. So if you can just put into YouTube, if you write in the Helvet Wiggle with my name, I've got a really, really short video, and it's about 3 minutes long. It's HELVIC, the Helvet Wiggle. If you watch it first before you come to the lesson, you'll be really prepared, I think, for it. And then it's called flip learning. You'll process that information. Try not to watch it on the day. Like, try and watch it earlier in the week, and then we'll come and we'll talk through the Helvet Wiggle as part of the defense as well. And then we'll also cover some of the landy bids. Did you say over strong no trump you need more to bid landy? It's pretty important over both, actually, Linda. And I think it's probably more important over a weak no trump multi-landy, because they just take away more bidding space from you. Like, when the opponents open one no trump, it's less likely to be your hand. But when they open a weak no trump, it's quite likely it's your hand. So it's very, very important to have a good defense to one no trump. Okay, has anyone got any questions before we sign off? What can we assume the 2 club landy losers are for LT for losing trick count on south? I guess they're just slightly short of an opening hand. So I don't use the losing trick count much, but I think 7 is our opening hand, isn't it, for the losing trick count? So I'm expecting them to be slightly short of an opening hand, but you're also expecting them to have shape as well, unless you're unlucky enough for a 5-4, 5-4, 2-2 shape. Okay, any questions on it? And you'll see it really wasn't all that complex at all. Explain it to your bridge partner as well. And it is a useful bit, especially the 2 club one, 5-4 in the majors. Anyway, it was lovely to see you all. Don't think we've got anything coming in. I'm really pleased, Rosemary, you found it helpful. That's fantastic. It is, like somebody else said, it's at least really good to know what the opponents are doing as well when they make these bids against you. But it's so important to get the majors across. Okay, thanks. That's Marianne as well. Right, have a lovely day, everybody. Or Linda, wouldn't mind comparing this to Caprietti. Yeah, Linda, I'm not as familiar with Caprietti. It seems to be something the Americans do a bit more, but definitely go and look it up as well. Yeah, and come back to me. All right. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. See you later. Bye.